With exposure response, you are generally deliberately exposing yourself to something and seeing how you respond. But in all fairness, if you've got OCD, blink an egg. You don't need to find things to expose yourself to. They're coming through all the time. You spend a fair part of your life dealing with the exposure to OCD. Okay, it's hard to deal with the big, strong OCD compulsions that come along, but the small ones, like maybe someone not texting back within half an hour, maybe you could deal with that. Because maybe someone not texting back within half an hour and then you start to OCD on it, it's better than them not texting back for a day, is it? So when someone doesn't text back after half an hour and you go, well, they haven't texted back, grab hold of that thought and stop it before it becomes irrational. Stop thinking, I must have said something to upset them. Oh, I've annoyed them. Oh, they obviously don't value my friendship. Oh, they don't like me. They don't really care about me. They're not my true friend. Just grab hold of the thought. Say, okay, I'm not going to think that. And to stop me thinking that, because you can't just battle with it all the time thinking, yeah, they do. No, that's rubbish. No, they do. Because you'll just end up in a miserable tug-of-war battle and eventually you've failed. So as soon as that thought comes in, they haven't text back. Go, right, okay, now it's time to put the emergency plan into action. Now it's time to do what you have rehearsed. It's time to take action against OCD and use your focus and concentrate on something else. Go next door, see your friend. Get in your car, go and do the shopping. Do something that you enjoy, at least for half an hour, so that you can take it away from your train of thought. And you'd probably be surprised, because within that next half an hour, it may resolve itself. And if it doesn't, you can come back to it after half an hour in a better frame of mind and realise, okay, that's not bothering me quite as much as it was half an hour ago. I'm going to go and do something else. And if you can build up that cognitive behaviour response to it, which means that you are getting a new way of dealing with it and forming a new habit, eventually it'll just click into place. And when you start to get little OCD things, you can go, well, I know how to deal with that. I go shopping, I'm going to buy myself a jumper. Well, you have a lot of jumpers if you keep doing that, but you just have to start to form new positive, constructive habits that will work. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm tackling it with these real baby OCD attacks, because I am not in the place where I can deal with the ones that are harder than that. So I'm starting at the bottom, and if I can beat those, I can move up to level 2, can't I? It's like a game, isn't it? You start at the bottom, and start at the top, and hardest level, you start on the bottom, and you work your way up. And that's what I'm trying to do. You could talk to a friend and tell them that you struggle with this texting and not getting a reply. And you could ask them to deliberately, especially if it's a friend who you know is very punctual with their text, you could actually ask them, can you help me with my exposure response? And the way I'd like you to help me is by not replying quickly to me sometimes. But I know that you always do reply quickly, and so therefore I know you read my messages. So if I am struggling and I can't cope, and then I send a text saying, I can't cope, can you reply please? Then you reply and it'll release me out of the situation I'm in. But in the meantime, I want to build up resilience. So if you've got a friend who replies to you almost instantly, that's a good person to try with. And you can say to them, don't reply to me instantly. Leave it for half an hour. Always leave it for half an hour or a bit longer. And then I want to build up a resilience in a safe, comfortable environment where I know if OCD really starts to get the better of me and I start to really panic, I can just text you and say, I'm panicking, please text back, are you there? And then they will instantly, instead of waiting, they'll just text you back and say, yeah, you've done quite well. You've gone for a couple hours or whatever. It will start to build your resilience up. I'm going to start doing that. I mean, these are just things that I'm thinking as I'm understanding the OCD and how it works. Because the more time I'm spending doing these videos and doing this research and looking into my mind, the more I'm realizing I've probably got a lot of the answers, and you've probably got a lot of the answers inside your head already. You just haven't had the time to sit down and actually connect the dots. Realize actually I've got the power to actually do positive ERP exercises on current situations in a controlled environment using friends and people who care for me. I'm struggling with things today, and instead of letting them completely dominate my thoughts to the point where I then try to go and sort them out, I am trying to live with the uncomfortable feelings that they are giving me. And keeping myself busy, doing these videos, doing other things, doing positive things. And I'll tell you one thing, it's not particularly easy and it isn't exactly pleasant. I don't feel fantastically great, but there is one silver lining, and that is that I do feel quite good about the fact that I may be building a resilience up. And I believe I am building resilience up, and that resilience and that strengthening I'm doing within myself over time will mean that I can eventually, when I get a silly OCD thing coming, I can click my finger and go, I know how to deal with that. It's easy. Keep busy, do this, do that. Because one thing I'll tell you is that OCD isn't probably going to go away. And if you have got a constant OCD issue that keeps coming in and plaguing you, you are hoping that it will stop. With OCD people, it's kind of like some neurological, chemical, or something that is not quite wired up exactly right. And those OCD issues are always going to come in. I don't think they ever really go. So I was blinking and twitching and winking and obviously I was 4 or 5 thinking, oh, why am I doing that? I was able to see people on telly not doing the same thing. And also people around, kids, were quite quick to point out, why'd you keep doing that? Why'd you keep winking? Why'd you doing that? Why are you blinking? So I was able to question myself quite quickly and realise through my life I've done things that were different. I got diagnosed 10 years ago, but I knew about it a long time ago. But back then, it kind of wasn't so well known. So I think it's fairly evident that OCD is always generally going to be there. And if it's always going to be there, then when we put so much effort into trying to resolve the OCD issue that is plaguing us and making us feel bad, that's not necessarily the answer. And that's why people do exposure response. So instead of always trying to cure it, we're going to have to live with it. And if we're going to live with it, we're going to have to build up a resilience to it, and we're going to have to build up some strength in ourselves. And the only way we're going to do that is by exposure response, exposing ourselves to it. And it's very easy with OCD to start to become scared of doing things, scared of talking to people, scared of texting people, scared of doing this in case a trigger happens. And that's the place that we can't afford to let ourselves get into. And I think when we start to feel like that, start to see your bully is a real, nasty piece of work. It's trying to suffocate your life and make it not a very nice place to live. So again, thank you for watching. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, helps to promote it. And if you want to subscribe, I really appreciate that. Anyway, thanks a lot. Goodbye.